The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt is an epic single-player RPG that has captured the hearts and minds of gamers around the world for the best part of a decade. Set in a vast and beautifully crafted open-world environment, the game follows the story of the Witcher, Geralt of Rivia, a monster hunter for hire as he embarks on a mission across the continent to find his missing adopted daughter, Ciri. I personally was very late to this series, having only picked it up recently after multiple recommendations through my channel, and I must say it has not disappointed. I love RPG games, but this has provided me with one of the most interactive experiences I have had in years, from its immersive narrative, brilliant combat, wonderful character development, and almost constant decision making system. It stands out amongst some of the best titles I have played this decade. In this video I want to discuss 5 reasons why I fell in love with Witcher 3 as a recent first time player. I hope you enjoy. The storytelling in this game is some of the best I have ever witnessed, and no questline stands out more in that respect than the very first one that plays out once Geralt reaches Velen, that is, the Bloody Baron. I'm going to admit it straight away, this questline took me by surprise. I had no idea how dark and deep into human nature this was going to delve, and what was even more impressive was how the game wove other smaller questlines into the fabric of this, resulting in some truly heartbreaking endings. Let's recap briefly on how this questline begins. Geralt's search for Ciri brings him to Philip Strenger, aka the Bloody Baron, a warlord who recently conquered the region of Velen. The Baron admits to harbouring Ciri, and offers information on her whereabouts if Geralt agrees to help find his missing wife Anna and their daughter Tamara. A simple search and rescue mission, right? Well, not quite. Far from it actually. The way this story depicts the effects of alcoholism on an individual and their environment is incredibly powerful. Let's not forget that this is a fantasy RPG set in a medieval war-torn land, inhabited by monsters and beings that can wield magic, and yet we have a narrative here that is oh too real and raw. The Witcher 3 portrays an incredibly dysfunctional family, and as you progress through its main quest, Family Matters, you realise that their problems aren't simple to untangle. They run deep, very deep in fact, right from when Tamara was a child. The game does such a good job of showing realistic facets of a family relationship and abuse that you could copy this narrative, minus the fantasy elements, and paste it into any true-to-life drama and it would be believable. Another important theme that runs throughout this questline is fatherhood. It's very clear the more you progress in this game just how important Ciri is to Geralt. His search for her was akin to a desperate father, and yet in the Baron, this NPC that we encounter so early on in this story, the player sees the complete antithesis of the ideals that Geralt displays. He is violent, controlling and abusive. It was hard to find anything good or likeable about him. The only positive fatherly behaviour we see in the beginning was when he took Ciri in, and yet, why did I find myself pitying this man? The more he talked, the more I couldn't help myself feeling sorry for him. Even down to his facial expressions during conversations, you could see how the comments of his daughter cut him to shreds. He knew he was at fault, and it has destroyed him. We are told throughout the game that witches are heartless beasts, hated and feared, spat on in the street, and yet here we have Geralt displaying the qualities that every father should aspire to be, and on the other side of the coin we have a leader of men, one who admittedly has lived a life within the horrors of medieval warfare, who is utterly broken and at risk of losing everything. This broken family scenario was an emotional rollercoaster from start to finish. I found myself rooting for them, I wanted a happy ending, I longed for it even, and yet I learnt a hard truth here. In the brutal world of The Witcher 3, that is no guarantee. Sometimes there isn't a happy ending, only a choice between what is bad and what could be much worse. I mentioned in my introduction that this game is about a witcher who kills monsters. Early on here we are presented with something very different, a complex tragedy following one human family. And that brings me on to the second point I want to discuss in this video: decisions have consequence. One of the things I find most irritating in RPG games is the illusion of choice, being presented with crossroad decisions only to find that they don't really matter at all. I'm looking at you, Starfield Shattered Space. If you haven't played that DLC and don't know what I'm talking about, that game took decision making, or lack of, to the nth degree. I won't go into too much detail in this video as I don't want to go off on a tangent, but quarrelling brothers threatening to kill one another, You are literally asked to try and help work this out. Do any of the conversations and the back and forth matter in the end? No, they don't. You can just bypass it all. And what about the ending, where you can literally restart a galactic war known as the Serpent's Crusade? Does this impact the game in any meaningful way at all? No, it doesn't. The Witcher 3 could not be more different. Decisions play a significant role within this game. Even something that seems as trivial as a conversation can directly and permanently affect progression in a way I've not seen done to this extreme before. It is an incredibly immersive experience. Sometimes decisions can cause a ripple. Take the scene that plays out during the quest Nilfgaardian Connection. Geralt, upon arriving in Velen, travels to the inn at the crossroads, and not long after his arrival, some of the Baron's men enter and it gets heated very quickly. Now choose your words wisely here, as you can either start a fight, leading to the deaths of the soldiers, or you can defuse the situation, even offer the soldiers a drink should you wish, through gritted teeth, as was the case with me. Your actions with the Baron's men here will affect how easy it is to gain entry to the Baron's fort at Crow's Perch later on. None of your actions will make things impossible, but the nicer you are, the easier it will be to gain access. Kill them, and the new guards won't let you in, but if you bought them a drink, they'll recognise you and you can pass without any penalty. Then there are decisions with much larger impact, such as what happens towards the end of the questline with the Bloody Baron, during the quests involving the Crones of Crookback Bog and the Whispering Hillock. Can I just say again, what a quest Ladies of the Wood was in its own right. Starting this at the Trail of Treats and having Geralt follow this was brilliant. I was tense the whole way through, I'm not going to lie. I was convinced something was going to jump out at me or some cutscene would start. It was impossible not to think of the fairy tale Hansel and Gretel. After you've met Gran, we'll get onto her more later, we met another fantastic NPC that I immediately took a liking to, Johnny.
Defecating to the sunrise, downright glorious.
And then we are blessed with another incredible cutscene.
Those are the ladies. Ladies lovely, with power o'er all, beseech I thee, answer my call. Before you a worm crawls, wretched and small. How dare you disturb our rest, woman?
I'm digressing, but this quest is worth it. The ladies send Geralt away to clear a dark spirit from a nearby village, and that is where the Whispering Hillock begins. Now, the end results here vary greatly. Does that do it justice? I'm not even sure if it does. You either free the spirit, and it will save the orphans from the crones, but the spirit will also attack the village of Down Warren, killing many. Anna ultimately dies after being cursed by the crones. And the Baron then commits suicide over the loss of his wife. If you choose to kill the spirit, as I did on my first playthrough, you save the town of Down Warren, but the orphans get taken by the crones, heavily implied to be eaten by them. Anna lives but loses her mind, and the Baron then takes her far away to find a cure. I'm not sure either conclusion can be considered a good ending, with significant collateral damage on both sides. It's dark, sombre, chilling, yet brilliantly put together, and this made me question every little decision from here on in. The main questline is brilliant, but arguably what you can find off the beaten track in The Witcher 3 is even better. Wild at Heart, which takes place around the town of Blackburn, is a smaller quest I played fairly early on, yet really enjoyed, and it ties nicely into my first 2 points around storytelling and consequences. Once here, Geralt must find a man named Nielen, and his wife disappeared one night, most likely in the woods near town. His wife's sister Margaret also has no clue where she could have gone, but points you towards 2 people she was close to. Speaking to the butcher's wife, you'll learn that the wolves in the woods have been acting up, which is most likely where she met her end. The children she took care of at the blacksmith's will also tell you they saw her entering the forest with another woman. After defeating the wolves, this is where the quest got interesting. Margaret approaches and asks Geralt to stop looking, out of concern for Niellen's sanity. She'll even attempt to pay you if you tell Niellen that you found her dead in the woods. Highly suspicious. Why would she not want to find her sister? I persisted on because at this point I was intrigued. I needed to know what happened, and Margaret curses you and you're free to continue your search. It doesn't take Geralt long to find Niellen's wife, or what is left of her I should say. This was no ordinary wolf attack, this was something big. And the tracks eventually lead you to a secluded shack with some interesting notes inside. Time to wait until nightfall. After cutting down the werewolf, Margaret runs in and begs for you to stop, revealing the identity of the werewolf in question and her feelings for him.
No! Stop! Don't harm him!
Lycanthropy can afflict anyone, but it is a curse, so sorry, but I have to.
You don't understand! I love him! He was near to being mine till you came along! Go away! Leave us be! I love him! Always have! Even after I'd learned his secret.
You knew? Did you know I shut myself in here to wait out me change?
I knew, and I didn't mind. But you chose Hannah. I wanted her to see you. I wanted her to fear you. She'd not have stayed. And we could be together.
You brought her here. That night. 'Twas the reason I had the taste of blood in me mouth come morn.
I did it for us. She was to see you turn, not more. I didn't want her death.
Once all details of the story have been revealed, Niellen, naturally, doesn't take too kindly to Margaret, and suddenly you can choose to leave him to kill her, or save her life and finish it off. I chose to save her. Despite the role she played in her sister's demise, it just didn't feel right that Geralt would stand by and allow her to die.
You won't kill anyone.
Is he an instrument of vengeance and justice? I'm not so sure, but I'll get onto that more shortly.
Don't hurt him!
Get out of here before I change my mind. Run.
Niellen fell, and Margaret disappeared off back to the hut in tears. Ultimately, on your journey, these NPCs are of little significance, and yet I found myself dwelling on this moment for some time after. It ties back into point 2. The ambiguity of the decision-making Witcher 3 often results in a scenario of, is any decision truly the good decision? Niellen is, ultimately, a werewolf, and as Geralt says, it's a curse. But he is still a man, and his death closes the chapter on another young couple snuffed out. Collateral damage is common, and the world is brutal and heartbreaking. One quest that I found extremely rewarding included a character that I only learned afterwards could have been completely erased from my game without me even knowing the consequence of my actions, and this again links into the second chapter on decisions have consequence. Wild Hunt is my first foray into the Witcher series, so when presented with this choice while having a shave, I had no idea which was the right option to do. During this whole sequence of questions, I simply operated on, if there was an option to state someone was dead or alive, I picked alive each and every time. Therefore I said Letho was alive. Fast forward a few weeks in real life, and my Geralt found himself in Lindenvale, where he witnessed an old woman being thrown out of a house. Now this happened to be the same woman who had left a contract, requesting help to clear her homestead of ghouls. When I arrived, there were no monsters to be seen. A whole host of traps though. Someone had beat Geralt to it, and who should it be? None other than Letho. What immediately followed was a very rewarding quest where we fought our way through some bounty hunters, through the man who sent them, and finally from the clutches of Emperor Emir by making it look like Letho had died. I advised Letho to head back to Kaer Morhen, and that brings me onto the final side quest I want to discuss in this chapter. The whole sequence that follows Geralt returning to Kaer Emmett is brilliant, and I mean the whole quest sequence, not just that bit where
I've nothing on me, but I'll think of something.
Yeah, you know what happens. Fyke Isle is a fantastic location in this game. I loved this segment, the pinnacle of course being a tower full of mice. I mean, what a quest. This had everything. It was dark, intense, almost claustrophobic at times. Suddenly I felt like I was playing in a completely different game. What starts as killing rot fiends and ghouls in a creepy misty swamp at nightfall suddenly becomes some dystopian horror nightmare. How many people died here again? And it's infested with rats, visibility is low, ghosts inhabit almost every floor, but nothing could prepare me for what I was to find at the summit though. A mage's laboratory of the late Alexander, experimenter of disease control not just on rats, but humans, and it's here we also find the ghost of Annabelle, the Lord's daughter. Her story is one of the saddest and most gruesome I've encountered so far.
Why did you leave? You claimed to love me. I'm cold. Why has no one come for me? I cannot leave this place. I see no way out. Who are you? Do you seek to hurt me as well?
I'm a witcher. I want to lift the curse that grips this island. Your turn to tell me who you are. The other ghosts, they couldn't see me.
I'm special. Always was. The rare beauty. The Lord's daughter. These lands, as far as the eye can see, were ours. My family and I, we hid in the Mage's Tower to await the war's end, the end of hard times. It was not to be forever.
Tell me what happened here. Peasants sailed to the island to ask for food. Is that true?
No! They came to rob and kill. They thought us rich, believed we'd stowed ourselves away here to laugh at their misery. Yet we had little food as well. Too little to share with those who came. They slaughtered everyone. I heard my father cry out, but the mage told me not to reveal myself or let anyone in. He gave me a potion. If I was discovered, I was to drink it. He said everything would be all right.
What kind of potion was it? Remember its smell? What it looked like?
I remember only that I feared to drink it.
Didn't trust the mage?
In the village, they claimed he meddled in disease. Not curing it, but causing it. They said he lured rats into the tower, infected them with the Catriona. Only rumors, surely, but I was afraid. So horribly afraid. And then I heard him. My beloved Graham. He called to me. I opened the door for him, but others rushed in. They lunged at me and...
Did they hurt you?
They gripped my arms, tore at my dress. I managed to free myself and drink the potion, and then... nothing.
Poisoned? That how you died?
No, for I later awoke. I was alone, it was dark. Only there were rats everywhere. Dozens. Hundreds. And I couldn't move.
Sleeping potion. Effects hadn't worn off yet. You were paralyzed.
They were everywhere. All over me like insects. My face, my hands. I felt them rip open my skin, then crawl into my stomach. They tore me apart, and I could not even scream. Have I not suffered enough? Why can't I leave this place?
Wow. Geralt explains to her that the curse on the island is obviously centred around her, and it was born from hate. Only love can break it. He then suggests that to break the curse she has to forgive her love Graham, who left her alone on the island, having believed she had died. She claims she is ready to forgive Graham, but only if Geralt brings her bones to Graham for him to bury, and here we are presented with another choice. I refused. Something just did not feel right about taking her off this island, so she asked me to bring Graham to her instead, revealed herself as a plague maiden and then attacked. After going to see Graham and informing him of the curse, he agreed to return with Geralt. When we arrived at the top of the tower, Graham tried to explain to Annabelle that he didn't mean to leave her and that he still loved her, so she asked him to prove it by kissing her. Can I just pause here and request no tongue please? Okay, and action.
At last.
The curse is lifted, a bittersweet ending. At this point I'll take it. It doesn't end here though. Oh no, Ciri has other ideas. Play along if you wish. Geralt does make a rather fine Prince Charming. And before we had Geralt walking the trail of trees, now it's the trail of scattered clothes. And no, I'm not showing them bumping uglies. I get demonetised enough on this channel. But wait, there's more. I mean, Ciri, how could you? I was genuinely hurt at this point. For the advancement of learning starts, and at this point I couldn't help but feeling like Ciri, my dear, for a remarkable witch, you really can be naive. I mean, really? Just go and bargain with Radovid? Okay, let me know how that goes. But no, seriously, go get yourself to Kaer Morhen with Letho. I've still got lots of this game to go, but I hope that does it justice. The side quests in this game are incredible. I love to roleplay, whether that is the character I'm playing as, my own imagining of that character, or something completely made up. The Witcher 3 to me has this incredibly complex ethical and emotional dilemma that bleeds into every part of the game that is just impossible to ignore. I really enjoyed this aspect of the game because I found myself often asking, what would Geralt do in this scenario? What would I do in this scenario? Virtue ethics became the constant, unavoidable theme. One example that really stuck with me I happened upon by complete accident. I had this quest in my journal for quite some time, but I'd not attempted it because the level was well above where I was currently at. I think its suggested level was around 25, and I was only around level 12 at the time. And yet I found myself wandering into this village by accident, facing these Alguls. Now the Alguls weren't actually a problem, it's what came after that really made me question the decisions I was making. This quest is just, Honiton. Wow. This is a brutal story in a brutal world. I won't dwell on the timeline because I want to discuss the ending, but Geralt finds another massacre, and this one is bad. This wasn't no monster attack. There are unarmed villagers slain, children, dogs. The only survivor was a little girl who Geralt sees running off, and it's during his conversation with her that I couldn't help but notice how pained Geralt was, and how well he handles this situation. There's that fatherhood figure coming out again. But witches are heartless beasts, right? Sorry, I just don't buy it. But then followed another bombshell. This was the work of another Witcher. Gaetan. Oh Gaetan, what have you done? Geralt himself looked pained hearing him out, probably shamed that this act came from his kind, Witchers, knowing all too well how easy it is to shatter trust with the humans, how hated Witchers already are. And here we reach the point that I wanted to discuss about this game, the morality of decision making. Now I dwelled on this for quite some time. If Gaetan had stopped after killing his attacker with the pitchfork, and possibly the elder who enabled the attempted betrayal to play out, would that have been acceptable justice? What Gaetan did went so far beyond that. Witches are supposed to protect the innocent, and yet he slaughtered them all. But would Geralt still kill him? I wasn't sure he would. He'd be disgusted at him, maybe even threaten him that he ever sees him again, he'll kill him, but in that moment I spared him. My basis for this was the village was already dead. Geralt wasn't protecting them. He'd be serving justice, and is justice in a witcher's character? I said earlier that I didn't believe that it is. And here it was. I encountered a problem. I wasn't happy with this decision, almost immediately actually. Especially the comment Geralt made. It was basically, shit happens. And to this day, I've still a long way to go in this game, but this is the only moment where I've gone, no, I don't like that. And it's the only moment so far where I've reloaded and actually replayed. My own moral compass just couldn't accept this, so I loaded it up again and told Gaetan he had to die. My justification: Geralt protects those that need protection, and Geralt kills monsters, and would Gaetan still be a threat? Well, he's done this once, maybe even twice after this comment.
Wanna kill me, Wolf? Fine, draw your blade. But don't force me to confess.
What? Lost your nerve?
It's not perfect, and it may not be canon, but I was more than content with this outcome. And that leads me nicely onto the fifth and final reason why I fell in love with this brilliant game. Any good RPG should marry a beautifully crafted open world with a music score that complements each and every location. I've spoken before on my channel how I think the Elder Scrolls V Skyrim did this brilliantly. I could play that game without even really playing it, just wandering from town to town, tavern to tavern, soaking in the atmosphere. There are channels on YouTube dedicated to just uploading Skyrim Ambience playlists, and I couldn't tell you how many hours I played those in the background whilst I worked, studied, even when I was struggling sleeping. There are 10-hour mixes out there of just Skyrim background music, and they helped me massively. Well, I was very happy to see that there are also tons of playlists on The Witcher 3 music on YouTube as well, and I've already listened to a few of them back to back. The Witcher is delivering against those benchmarks that I hold Skyrim in such high regard for. It's incredibly detailed and beautiful. Each location I've explored so far feels sufficiently unique. Each one carries its own music dependent on the daytime or nighttime. I'm more than happy just wandering around for hours on end, seeing what secrets I can uncover in little corners of the map. I hope you enjoyed my video. Is there anything you think I've missed? Let me know if you agree with my list and if there are any other factors that you enjoy about The Witcher 3. As I say, I'm currently playing this game for the very first time on YouTube now. If you want to see my blind playthrough, I will link episode 1 below. And please do subscribe to my channel. I upload content on many different RPGs like Skyrim, Fallout, Starfield and The Last of Us, even some horror gaming stuff as well. I'm Mike the Gaming Dad, and I'll see you next time.